I am Joe Christensen. I just this morning at 9:15 a.m. CST promptly down in the booth area, the expo hall, I read the news live on LinkedIn. I do this every single Friday. Nico is part of my team, Mady. Mady does all the creative for the company. She does the logos, like the creative for the booth and all of that stuff. And Nico does all of the websites. So conduitbi.com, that's really where we're putting all of our effort right now. We have an aqueducts.com, but with that aqueductsconsulting.com as a website, but that's all the love and fuel and energy and whatever is going into conduitbi.com. The format here is it's a partner presentation, so I'm going to show you actual offers. I'll show you money. I will show you I'll tell you all the horrible tales of me being in the market for 15 years now in 2025, because I started right around 2010 as an SSRS report developer straight out of grad school in literature, where I was reading novels and poetry and all that stuff and thinking I was going to be a professor in the great books like Homer, Virgil, and etc. Some of the books weren't great, they were just pretty good books. So I went into tech, and what you're going to see is my journey from where I started all the way till now and what I did about it. So I've been through all the heartache that you guys possibly currently are in. You might be here trying to optimize or tweak what you already have, or you're looking to start from scratch. Just a show of hands so I know what to speak to. Who here possibly is starting from scratch with F&O reporting or any reporting? 4. And who here is looking more to optimize and make sure you're doing the right thing, or just expand the program? Okay. And then who here is non-F&O? Are we all F&O? Hooray. And we do have an offer for non-F&O people if you, and we'll show it. So I'll run through these slides. I want to do a quick format so that I'm done talking and we can all talk about our projects, because I'm in the trenches all day on this stuff, so here goes. Any questions before I start? Okay, so on the front slide here, I started Aqueducts in 2012. And then I was an independent consultant from 2013, maybe a year. And I started adding people. I did Atlas reporting. Does anybody remember Atlas? Okay, so I uploaded the whole production module using Atlas. And I did this cool thing back in the day where I got a whole bunch of data crunch using SSIS and SQL Server, and I put all this data up into Atlas as like a refreshable query, and then from there I could upload directly to AX. In F&O nowadays, you have data migration that's way easier. They have like migration templates and everything, but that was that. Conduit BI, this happened. I started that is a rapid start for BI right out of F&O. And then Report Factory is my newest thing that we just created this year. And all of these things answer a problem that I have had out in the field, and I was tired of looking at the problem and dealing with it, so I decided to do something about it, and I created this stuff. So let's talk about that. This slide I've learned to call the problem. The first one was, how do I build? When I got in there as an SSRS person, the first spec I read was written by Bobby Small. Have you guys heard of him out in the world? So he's with Doug, and he was a manufacturing guy, and he wrote the whole spec. It was oil and gas out in Fort Worth, Texas. And I was excited. Like, I was just out of this grad school, like in literature thing. I was in the world. Fort Worth, Texas is real. You could get like gored by a bull or something, by a whole steer. And so I was out there and I was like, well, how do I build? I needed to survive. Like, I was my first real job as a tech guy. And so I was sweating SSRS. I had taken all the cert exams and everything. So how do I build was a problem for me. What tech, what platform, what's too big, what's too small? Where am I going to design myself into a corner? That was my problem I personally had. And I know, just because I've done reporting for 15 years now, I know you guys have it too. With AI coming in, with every last tech change they have, Fabric and the Link is now a thing. We're doing that, but just like literally months ago, everybody was just tinkering with Fabric Link. How do tables relate? If you're in F&O, it's an ocean, okay? And it's just like, it's so confusing. And when I first started, Bobby Small's write-up was a project that made a production order that had purchase orders attached to it and was all like somehow attached to like a demand plan. And it built a fixed asset that you then depreciated. All of this was in a project wrapper. Like, I have never seen actually a design that was that complex or complicated since I've been in the market. How do those tables relate? And then which fields do I use? This was a huge one for me because I got to the tables, like, what do you join on? Which fields do you join on? When? And then which ones do I use for the reporting? Come on in, guys. Anybody trickling in, it is, I didn't know where Roosevelt was, so I just learned. I'm learning with you. All right, so we're digging in. We're trying to say the problem. I had this problem, and for those of you just getting here, I had this problem myself, and I'm guessing you guys had the same thing. Here's a solution. I did Conduit BI because I was tired of doing the exact same SQL queries, ETL footprint, all that stuff, like over and over again at every client. And so I made a product out of it. I committed all the SQL to a script that I can deploy really quickly. I have views that I've created. The views will, I have a bronze, silver, gold kind of ETL left to right pattern that I do. I'll show that here on the screen in a second. And all that stuff's adoptable within the first like 3 to 6 weeks. I mean, 3 is fast. I can actually deploy all of this stuff in about a day or 2, but absorption-wise, it's really hard to get the lay of the land, and so it's usually about 4 to 6 weeks. If you want to budget for how long it takes, in my opinion, the fastest it can take from scratch, I would guess about 4 to 6 weeks. That's literally just to get set up. All the table relations, get your team, like you got to assign who's going to do what, because there's plumbing, business analysis way over here, plumbing, and then data modeling, and then you're developing Power BI reports. And we'll show that here in a second. So I did that. I did BI tech setup, I modeled the data, and I did sample reports. And that sample reports addresses which fields do I use. The data model says how do those tables relate, and then BI tech setup, well, that's all about how that thing works in the first place. This was a mystery to me when I started. I thought I'd be like a genius if I knew how that worked. A better solution. So this is something that you are not going to hear nearly anywhere else. This is my own home cooking, as I've cooked this up. In 2020, my business that was doing well, I was just coming off of about a $1.2 million project in reporting, okay? This is unheard of, all right? ERP projects go to $1.2 million. BI projects do not. And this was just a huge thing as a company that was growing really fast. They were in a bad spot, and they really they had no visibility, and et cetera, et cetera. What I noticed back then in COVID, my business almost failed in COVID about 5 times in 2020. I have no liquidity. No, anybody we were doing business for quit paying us and asked for no new work, and I was getting no new clients. I was zero. So I was asking this question, who else actually had a rough COVID? Did anybody else, company-wise? I mean, this was like a real thing. It was a real trauma. So I asked the question, is my work valid? Everything I'm saying here, I want you guys actually to go back and say to your company, is my work valid? Am I doing the best that I possibly could for the people who are, I gotta put teams on Do Not Disturb. Am I doing the best that I possibly could for my team? This is setting everybody up for success. Like, what is literally the best message you could send back home, back at the office when you guys go back? And the answer I came to was that most of the time when I'm hired, somebody new upgrade is one of the primary reasons, but really the primary reason is that somebody left. Somebody in your company left. We lost our key person. We lost our report dude, our report dev, our report whatever. So Report Factory was my response to that starting in 2021 when I got clear of 2020. I was like, well, what would make it better? And I started noodling on this. I didn't get this right for a long time. I did Conduit BI first because I knew I could do the tech stuff first. Report Factory Workshop is a workshop. It's a brand new workshop. You will get this nowhere else in the market because nobody else thinks this is a problem. But we all know it's a problem because we've all experienced it firsthand. Who here has had somebody key leave in the ERP space, any part of the ERP space? What, on a level of 1 to 10, what was the effect of that person leaving? Key person leaving. Who here has somebody, the effect of it leaving, 10 being the worst? Who had somebody in the 7 to 10 range? It was that bad. Super, almost catastrophic, right? The Report Factory workshop tries to address this. So that you guys know, when you spend money on Conduit BI and tech setup and all the data modeling and everything, I could do that perfectly. And if your key person who is involved in that project left, in some cases it goes to 0. In fact, I get emails back from the new regime and they send me nastygrams that say like, hey dude, none of your stuff works. You're atrocious. How do you even deal with yourself? It's like, I know. Hey, if I had the choice, I'd avoid me too, okay? But like, and I write them back, I'm like, yeah, but it's pretty good. Like, we set it all up. And, you know, Dale, whoever Dale is, like, he and I did a great job setting it up. Barb was awesome at reporting, and I sent it back, and they're like, well, Barb's no longer here. And they're like, and it's really, and they're really angry because, you know, they see me, I get wrapped up with the old guard. This is a problem. So it's a problem whoever sets your stuff up, including you guys. So what I want to propose something here today. I want to see if we can build a system that runs reporting, and then hire the people and train them on running the system. Is that fair? And this is not just documentation. It's not just doing Teams recordings and putting them in a team. It's being super intentional about designing something that never fails to deliver reports. Because reporting, in my experience, is an afterthought. It always rides second to ERP. It rides, I grew up in Florida. It rides like where they put the dogs, like in the bed of the truck. Is that fair? Anybody else grow up in Florida? Florida man knows what I'm talking about. Every news article that starts with Florida man, doesn't end well. All right, a better solution. This is my graphical visual something that starts this conversation. This is a system that I think is equal to the dignity of your reporting team and of the rest of the company. It just has a flow. It has a visual flow that says, I start here with the request, I go all the way to development, it gets entered into the report list, requirements, it gets prioritized, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That comes out to a report developer, goes to a quality check. Your analyst is somebody who's in between the devs and the business. And everyone here, if you are doing F&O, ought to know what I'm talking about. Somebody between the devs and the business. Because the devs are really good at an engineering mind and solving problems. And sometimes usually we put an analyst between them and the business. Sometimes you get a rare, multilingual person who can speak business and tech. But if you have that person, then that's great. That person can be the dev and also the analyst. But just know that those are two different roles. The stuff down at the bottom, those are 4 buckets of what I would do. Whether or not you buy from me, you should do those 4 things. Number 1, you've got to intentionally know the tech, document it, Visio diagrams, requirements documents. You have to have that in place. And you have to know the new Azure tech, right? So you actually have to know all those things in the context of the Azure Data Platform, Power BI. What's a serverless, implementation? What is Databricks? What is Fabric? What's Fabric sort of big? What's Fabric light? What are all the different Fabric things? So we teach on that in the tech, and whatever you do that tech bucket. Whatever you do the report dev system, that next bucket. You got to speak to the process. That would be all the documents, the SOPs, the requirements, everything under the sun. In the team, make sure we do something for team, which is how do you hire the people to replace the people who are there and then run the system, and then measure and optimize everything in reporting. So measure and optimize everything in reporting. What would you guys measure if you had a measurement for reporting? Come on in. Come on in. What would you guys measure if you had to measure something in reporting? What is one measurement that, like in a factory, throughput of the goods? I start with raw materials, I end with finished goods. That'd be a great measure. What would be a good measure for reporting? Usage. Awesome measure for reporting. Does everybody have usage locked in? I think Power BI, they start you off with something that's actually pretty decent for usage. What else besides for reporting in this image? How about just start to finish? How fast does it take to complete the circle per report? Well, all reports are different. Some take 3 months, some take 3 hours or something. AI is promising to do it in 3 seconds. So I would say just throughput, right? How many reports, how many developers, how many requests can you send? How does that come back and how quickly, right? What about another thing about customer satisfaction? Like if your users basically throw it back over the wall, that doesn't work. I don't know, nasty grams. That's not what I asked for. Okay, so measure and optimize. And then I have a new problem to deal with is AI, a new thing to deal with. It could be an opportunity. So I want to give you this, I want to shock everybody on my actual real opinion about what AI is going to do to reporting. And it is a shocking statement. I am not trying to be a hype monster here. I think that if you did a from scratch, blue ocean, green field, AI first implementation of a business, I would tell that business not to put reports in the freaking design. Can anybody tell me why? This is the most shocking statement I can possibly make. Why would you need reports in an AI first design? Because reports are for people, right? How many reports do you need if you do a true AI first design? Like, what I believe is going to happen, I'll just tell you the conclusion. I think we're going to take reporting and we're going to bake it into AI designs as decision criteria and then consign as many of those decisions as possible, the immaterial ones, to the AI agents. It is my opinion that reporting, by and large, is going to go away in a certain sense, and it's going to shift over into system design. Not for everybody. I anticipate that my revenue personally and my business will go down to about 15 to 20% of what I do now. I think within 2 to 3 years, I think I have 18 to 24 months, and that will just go like off a cliff. Because AI will close the gap on how to design reports, how to write the code, how to do all the designs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everything I'm showing you is actually designed to feed it to AI. I can't even contain my excitement, and I do reporting. It's really boring. Who here doesn't want to tell your friends what you do because you know they're just not going to understand what you're saying? I'm going to get to the offers and let's talk. This is what I want everybody to do. I'll be very transparent. I'm very transparent. If you ever listen to me read the news, it's pure transparency. I want everybody to spend $3,500 a month, especially if you're starting from scratch. This is what I recommend. Here's why. You get Conduit BI included with it. We're going to do the Report Factory workshop, which is super intentional about making sure you don't go to zero, that you don't lose your reporting department when you lose your key people. So we're going to handle all of that tech. I've done this for 15 years. This is my design. I have 40 installs on this motion right here in the bottom left. It includes Conduit BI. So $3,500 a month. Price point for Conduit BI is around $36 to $42K. And so for $3,500 a month, it's doing this Conduit BI thing. We're going to include the Report Factory workshop, and then we're doing this new AI thing. That is, every 2 weeks, we're going to get on a call. And if you guys can join, I really want a lot of people to join, because I'm going to share everything that I am doing design-wise for AI. I'm literally going to R&D out loud. So we have a lot of stuff we've already done. We're just going to share all that. And then as we go, we're going to say, hey, that works, that doesn't. That's where this is going. I would rather do it this way and that rather than that way. So, and I also want you guys to share. So as you get AI wins internally, just share. If you're not competitors with anybody else, if you're in a different industry, share the love, man. So AI wins from your peers. That means that if somebody's doing a great job on agents, then go ahead and share it with everybody else. If anybody has questions about what is in Conduit BI or in these other things, I have some supporting stuff. If you guys, we'll get to Q&A, and then you guys can queue that stuff up in, it's called Q&A. You can queue it up. And I'll show it on screen here. So that's what I would like for you to do. But I'm willing to a la carte any of this, or all of it. If you a la carte all of it, then you could just go back to that original offer. So a la carte 6K, tech only. I will get you set up and I'll hand that to your team and I'll tell them how it works. You can add in finance data models, supply chain data model for 8 and 10. And then you can do, the report factory workshop is included if you do that stack. Custom dev, that's really where I am, like on rate card. So you can take a picture of this. We'll share these slides as well. Custom dev over here on the right. And you can do the report factory workshop just once. You can go a la carte. I want everybody to, like, if you already have an internal team, great, I'll work with you. If you have a partner, awesome, I'll work with them too. I play nice with others. I work directly with the partner groups. I'm an ISV, so I am not trying to do ERP implementations. I'm specializing here. Does everybody got that? Snap, snap. Okay. Here's my information if you want to take a snap of that. I am starting, this is going to sound even more crazy than the rest of what I've already said. I am going to buy an Airstream and I'm going to drive all around the United States and I'm going to do this report factory workshop. We're going to do it actually for SMB as well. So I'm going to just say, hey, I've always been in the F&O space. Here's what I've learned. Please design your reporting systems this way. SMB actually has some of those guys, and I think that some people in this room, you will have the potential to do a greenfield build in AI. So I'm hoping that this report factory workshop gets them thinking that way, because the report factory workshop gives you an AI blue ocean greenfield possibility to redesign your reporting department. That's my intention for the next 12 months, is to get somebody who has like almost a virtual or AI agent augmented department. Report Factory in the near future will have a virtualized AI agent populated department. I don't like doing it because I want people there, because I've been around reporting a long time and I don't think AI agents are going to do everything, but they're going to do a lot. They'll help us write code. They're going to help us do data modeling. They're going to help us with optimizing how quickly everything refreshes. So that's my contact info. And I've got a bunch, it's DynamicsCon. I've got architecture diagrams, I've got Conduit BI stuff, like all the reports I've done, but that's a part of your mind that goes super technical and transactional, so I didn't want to go into that unless you guys really wanted me to. I designed it like that, and then I also have, oh yeah, it's me flying around. I have like another PowerPoint that has these other slides in it. But I'm going to stop. Q&A wise, how are we on time? 8 minutes left? Let's do Q&A. Let's do projects. So who's got a project coming up like you're going to pass out if you don't get it like nailed down while you're here? Who's on the hot seat? Probably all the people who have to go from scratch with F&O. Whoever raised their hands there. And then the optimizing people, you may not be, dying on the vine, but it's a thing. Last summit, we did this, and one brave soul started asking questions, and it opened up a flood of questions. It's okay if you ask questions. I think if you ask them generically enough, there's nothing NDA-wise that you're going to run up against. Who's brave? Who's the bravest in the whole room? Chad?
So, my pain point is, your loop, my developers build it.
Yeah. Yeah. So their throughput is 0.
Yes.
Poor developers. What's the holdup?
A lot of the reports are so technical, they're grabbing so many different fields, and it's kind of the developers, I'm in manufacturing, understanding that manufacturing need and true, good data back to my end users, just a bridge.
Yeah, it's a bridge between what the business knows how to do and what the developers know. Does anybody else have this thing? Does anybody have a great bridge person? Like who gets it, or people? Internally, so-so?
Yeah. We've had to train that though. So we identified that very early on, not just in reporting, but in development in general. Right?
Yeah.
You have technical people who are great at technical stuff, and you have business people who are not great at technical stuff.
Yeah.
And the two talk different languages.
Yeah.
So putting someone in between has been important.
Okay. I mean, the in-between is the hardest that I found, and that's why one of the reasons I wanted to do this was to take out of the equation the techs having the worst time just getting it set up. And then we go to train them, and it's hard to train. It took me about 3 years to be in the ballpark with Dynamics tables, and then 6 years to be sort of like an expert. That's a long time. And I was a manufacturing consultant while I was doing that. So I was doing data and manufacturing. Yeah.
To kind of add to that, I would say the hardest, and that's why I kind of say so-so, is we also need people that can do the QA part, right? The quality control. I think that's really the biggest gap for us is we build a thing, we get a report out there, they say it's wrong, but nobody can tell us why it's wrong or how it's wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Because
Yeah.
they know it's wrong because they know their side of the business. We have no clue because it's all just numbers and strings to us.
Yeah. One of my major findings, and this was the most shocking thing, and I'll share it with you, I do not think that anybody knows how each business runs. I actually think that most people know generally how it runs and what industry you're in, but most people just know their department and then their slice of their department. And when I finally, as in ERP, when I interviewed everybody, nobody could tell me how it ran. It took me forever to figure out what the place where when I was customer side, I didn't know what those people did. They didn't know what they did. Ownership didn't know. They just knew the resulting revenue point, right? And that's why I think AI is going to be so disruptive. Because when somebody sits down to design a system that achieves a result, I mean, that's something. It's going to be really hard. There's going to be huge competitive, Godzilla versus Mothra battles or something on these two guys in a garage who designed this system and then go duke it out in the market. Any other questions? Is report journey a cogent thing? So report journey, if you bought that thing, the way it would go is that we would start you off on tech. Whatever parts of the tech you need, the team, the report factory workshop, the tech only, the data models or whatever. So we start you off on tech. It takes us about 4 to 6 weeks. It is the best experience you will ever have in ERP for the first 4 to 6 weeks. Because we know the outcome. 40 times, 40 tussles, 40 groups of people where there was Dave and Barb and all the people up the chain, somebody who's hard to deal with, somebody who's easy to deal with, and great, but then never there. Like every admixture and permutation of that. We've seen it. That part's easy and we know it. Report Factory Workshop is a definite outcome. You guys can sit for it. You have the slides, you have the recording. You can hand that on to everybody. And then we're going to do refresher courses of that every 2 years. If you have the same group, they can go 10 years, 20 years, if they're there forever. And then the custom dev is a question mark. I don't know. Some of you will go to analytical reports. Some of you paginated, where it's more like SSRS was. And some of you will mix, I don't know, 200 reports, 20 complex, 200 easy, a mixture thereof. How about time?
3 minutes.
Thank you. Who has already crossed this bridge and can vouch for what I'm saying? Who's already got F&O reporting in and it's working and you have throughput internally? So am I in the ballpark here? Okay.
Yeah.
What is your name, sir?
Carl Hoffman.
Carl Hoffman. I've heard that name before.
Maybe.
Texas? No.
Pennsylvania.
I have to get my hotel key out to get up the elevators. And today I was the slowest gun in the West. And I come from Texas. I couldn't get on. I had all this stuff in my arms. So we're in the ballpark. Do you guys have a system?
Yep. Run the same thing, and, along those lines, and we have 159 reports and semantic models published in Power BI Surface, and several dashboards, and we're working on that streamlining process for users from CRM to FMS.
So multiple data source. And you said 159 reports. You got the data models published. Do you hear the gravity of these statements? It's like that reporting thing that's up in the air has now settled down and it's okay. So I just implore you, use this offer that I'm putting up there. Use it to just anchor your work. Anchor. Just take this out of the equation. You got lots of other stuff to worry about. This reporting thing, I can handle this. I've done this. I've looked at all the tools in the market. I've used the tools in the market. I have resold the tools in the market. And I wrote this stuff because I found that Microsoft's out-of-the-box stuff was just a sprawl, and I just pulled it down to all the stuff I usually am asked for. So it's more of like it's sort of out of the trenches. It's battle-hardened as a data set. Another thing, we're 10 people, so I do have a limit. We usually can handle about 6 of these simultaneously on the install side. I can do, if 6 large customers came to me, large companies, and said we want to do this 6 at a time, because we know exactly how it installs and how to talk to everybody and do the meetings, etc. After that, the dev gets sort of hard because custom dev could actually start eating 1 person at a time on my team. So the order in which you email me today is the order in which I'm going to lock that down and do the reservation. So I'm Joe at aqueductsconsulting.com. I have thoroughly enjoyed speaking to you. If you wish, I'm going to sit around and speak longer. If you want to bust it up and go catch a hammock or like a hotel bedroom somewhere and sleep, I totally understand. Any other questions before we all break up? And I'll be up here at the front if you guys want to talk.
One question.
Yeah.
Do you just do ERP or CRM?
Well, we've touched BC 6 times with this approach, and CRM we don't have much of a data set for, but we would take the same approach to that if we wanted to do it. So we have data modelers and those people. I have a whole team that does CRM, so we would just punch them in the ribs and say do the same thing for CRM, because it's the same source of people. And other data sources, my guy has done Snowflake, Databricks, you name it, we've done it in the market for data. Very large, high frequency stuff to very small. Was anybody traumatized of what I said about how reporting is going away? That might be a point of celebration. Reporting is always, it's like second thought. Anyway, all my stuff's up here. I'll send out the slides. Joe at Aqueducts, and you can also hit me on the WHOVA app. I have heard it pronounced WOVA, HUVA, HALVA, WUVA, however that's pronounced. Thanks, guys.